think we are ready. We are online now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lunar Reason with Christeen. Once a month, I will meet the lovely Christeen here, and she's going to share what's in her mind and her observation of the world, and especially include astrology. Hello, Christeen. Happy
Hello?
eclipse.
Yeah. Well, it's not been so happy though. But you know what? What's really striking about this eclipse
Mm,
is that if you take the draconic view, right, which is
okay.
really everybody should be looking at that each day along with everything else.
Yeah.
Mars is at the world axis, is zero Cancer, right?
Ooh.
Squaring the node from the draconic perspective. I know in the tropical thing it's gone as far as 7, right, where it's
Yeah.
squaring the nodes. And I think there's a couple of things to say about that. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only person who was absolutely horrified by yesterday's attack. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so shocking because it opens up a whole can of worms for a new kind of warfare. I mean, like
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I don't even trust my mobile phone anymore because I don't know what it might have been. Somebody could have programmed that thing and it could, it could go off in 2027. I don't know, right? But I just felt that yesterday was a step into a horrible unknown, right? Just really, really ghastly. And that
Mm,
sent me to see, well, why hadn't I picked that up beforehand? And yes, Neptune is hanging about near the world axis, but I wanted to know why it was happening now. Why have we attracted this horrible thing now? And Mars is, at 0 degrees of Cancer. So that's very, very concerning because if we're now going to say that the world axis is so sensitive and so potentially not good for humankind, or rather we're abusing ourselves because that's what we're doing, right? Then it makes us even
yeah.
more concerned about the Saturn and Neptune that's coming up. And that's a whole other topic for us to discuss. So that
Yeah.
was very concerning yesterday. Of course, I've been interested because Mars squaring the node, what might that manifest in interest rate cuts? Because very often the node is involved with when decisions are made on that. And Mars, of course, would be a cut, right? I
Hmm.
just think it's going to be a more disappointing cut than people expect because of Neptune's position. So, yes, and of course, all of this is leading us into this remarkable solar eclipse that's coming because we haven't we haven't had one that's been conjunct both Astrea and Makemake, right? So,
Mm.
and the way that we work, all our expertise is based on, well, what happened before, right? Like you look at a Pluto return,
Yes.
what happened before, right? What happened last time Jupiter did this? So we base our experience on the past. I don't know how healthy that is, but I mean, that's what we do.
Yes.
So looking at this eclipse, it's a Libra eclipse, and it's conjunct Mercury as well. You'd think with it being a kind of posh type new moon that maybe it would usher in a new frenzy of diplomatic activity. And that's what I want to think, right?
Hmm.
But it's going to have to be a really big swell of activity given yesterday's events and just everything that opens up. I'd read, I can't find this, but you probably tell me where it is, but somebody said something about the last time that Neptune was where it is was when bullets were invented. I went to have a look at that and thought, no, that's not right because bullets go back thousands of years. The Chinese,
Yes.
but there must be something about Neptune being on the world axis and another weapon uh, coming into, you know, just coming into normality. Although
Hmm.
God knows we absolutely don't want the phones or anything to be normality.
Yeah. Yeah. That is really worrying. What are you talking about that in I think it's in Syria, right? They use they turn a page, become a remote bomb to
Yes, yeah,
hurt
yeah.
everyone. And that was so striking because, like you say, so your mobile phone maybe can be modified
Your
and
computer,
become a
your
weapon. Yeah.
anything, right? So now I feel that one of the things that happened yesterday is that trust. Trust
Mm-hmm.
was seriously damaged yesterday.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, uh, if we can spin this on into the US election and everything else that's happening in the world, the theory is that we use the equinox chart, as Gann did, to look at, the next 3 months. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a striking chart, this one, with Venus at 29 of Libra squaring Pluto now at 29, right? So
Yeah.
it does seem as though we're on the edge of something. And
Mm-hmm.
when people were asking me what I thought would happen with the US election, and I'm talking a
Yes.
couple of years ago,
Mm.
I said jokingly at the time, I'm not even sure it's going to happen. Right. I can't, right now. And they were saying, but Mercury's not retrograde. It's not retrograde then, but it's going to be soon after. Right.
Mm.
And there's something about this election date that I think it's really questionable in a way that it hasn't been before. Right.
Mm.
And that then, my preference, I mean, there's several things that I think. Number one, I think that we've had yet another assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that we're out of the potential for other events happening in October. I don't think, until we're through that, I still think there's a big unknown as to who will actually be standing at that election in November. That's number one. Number
Mm-hmm.
two is that soon afterwards, well, actually, before we even get there, Mars, of course, is now gone into Cancer, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to go over the USA 13 degrees of Cancer. It's going to go over their sun position, whichever chart you want to use for them, right?
Yeah.
So that suggests a militancy, an argumentativeness that
Mm.
which of course occurs every 27 months or whatever, right? But against the backdrop of everything, doesn't look so good, right? And then later, Mars is going to turn retrograde. Is it about 6 degrees of Leo?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so. Yes.
Yeah, which is on the lunar node position of the
Mm-hmm.
USA chart. Again, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter which chart you use,
Mm-hmm.
but in the past, when that degree has been highlighted, the US Navy has been busy. It's somewhere. It's been involved in some theater of war. So
Yeah.
that looks to me as though between November and the inauguration, we have quite a lot of upset, and it
Mm-hmm.
makes me wonder about how they're going to cope with the handover administration. And then we get to the inauguration itself, right?
Yes.
That chart absolutely fascinates me. That I'm
Oh.
absolutely fixated with that because we know what happens. We know the date, January the 20th. We know the
Mm-hmm.
time, 12 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But whoever it is that takes on the oath, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
start there because they have to have, play their tunes and do all their different bits. So it's
Yeah.
usually sort of like 15 minutes, 20 minutes past, right? So I was looking at that because if you take the chart supposing you decide to go for midday, I think you'll end up with something like 26 Capricorn on the midheaven. Right? But if you go a little bit later, you're going to get an Aquarius midheaven. Right?
Yes. Yes.
And it won't be much of Aquarius. Whatever degree you go to, it won't be very much of it. And Pluto is going to, whoever takes the oath of office, Pluto is going to come backwards and forwards over that and the
Mm-hmm.
sun degree, right?
Yes.
So I mean, I wouldn't wish the presidency on anyone because whoever takes it on, take it on against that backdrop and is going to have to negotiate with both Saturn and Neptune on the world axis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which even if we don't replicate the Revolutionary War, even if we don't have any of that, it's right across the world. It's a mess, right? Are we going to be talking about another pandemic? I really hope not. But
Not.
I really, really hope not. But surely we don't have to have the answers for everything, right? And
Yeah.
somebody accused me this morning because they rang up for some help about something, and I don't know what it was I said, but they said, "What happened, Christine? Have you lost your magic wand?" Well, I never had one, but we need to find something constructive to say because supposing we accept that next year is going to be extremely difficult, how do we help us and our clients get through it?
Yes.
Do I have to confiscate your mobile phone and bury it in the garden? I don't know. I just, what I'm saying is, I don't know. But I do think that we should be looking seriously at that inauguration chart and watching Pluto there, because whoever is in charge, and I said, you wouldn't wish that on anyone, right? That's a real mess, right? But equally, we've all of us got to somehow manage. How are we going to negotiate? We're also going to have Uranus going into Gemini, right? Which
Yes.
could actually be, that may be the good news on this. That may be the very good news, because there will be a nice sextile with Saturn. So maybe that's, can be used in a constructive way. I don't know. Sorry, you can hear I've been thinking about this chat for hours, and yes, it's all in my head. Well,
but it is a very typical like eclipse season. Our mind is so activated, and then this everything just going everywhere. You're right about this chart. It looks not very smooth, not very gentle. Especially you have that Mars retrograde on IC for the inauguration chart in Washington D.C.
yeah.
The Mars is right on the IC, and that was what we have in the Aries in Greece chart this year. So the kind of argument and or maybe violence that we can imagine for this presidency is worrying. So I 100% agree with you. Especially there is another attempt assassination to Trump again a couple of days ago. Also didn't shot any bullet, but it's trying. I don't like this. Although I think very honestly, I don't like Trump, but I don't like this because violence is not a way in our politics. I mean, if one start, it's not only going to end up on Trump. Yeah.
But I was listening to somebody say, I can't remember who it was, but they said something really which I thought was wonderful, which of course is that we're a bit obsessed, of course, with what's going to happen in the USA, but Neptune going into Aries is going to affect all of us, every country, right? So I was looking at it and thinking, because of the incredible floods in Europe, for example, right? Now, many people are going to say, oh, well, that's, that was to do with this eclipse this week, this eclipse, in Pisces, Neptune, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. But the reason they've had the floods and that they've been as extreme as they have is that we do have, there is a global warming, right? So there's more moisture in the air. And of course, it gets dumped. I was having a really interesting conversation with a pilot, an airline pilot, who was telling me about the new challenges that they have, which we don't think about because it's up there and you don't, I'm down here at my computer, but somewhere up there, they're dealing with excess moisture, more rain, they have far more difficulties up there than we'd expected. So these I remember going, was it about 2012 or something? I was doing this thing in Florida, this talk, where I was talking about air tides as well as water tides, and not realizing at the time just how important that they were going to become. But I think we need to think about the seas warming, right? As Neptune goes into Aries for good, right?
Yeah.
That's like fire on the oceans, right? So as the oceans get warmer, right, then that changes the jet stream and everything else. So that's something else to be concerned about. And then there's my other big passion now, which is space, and like you, and the satellite conditions, and
yes,
we're now we're so dependent on these things, right? And we're at the moment they're kind of friendly because that's enabling Sainsbury's, and Ocado, or whoever to bring the shopping to the door. That's all good, right? But maybe if one of them turns the other way, right, and shoots at us or affects your mobile phone or something, it's not so pleasant. So I actually, yesterday really was for me An absolutely shocking event. I just couldn't believe that these pages, I mean, 3,000 of them, and there's 2,000 of them not accounted for, because apparently the batch was 5,000. So there's 2,000 out there. So where are they, and when are they going to be triggered? And could you imagine what it would be like to be a citizen of Lebanon now and scared
Yes.
even to go to the supermarket? It's appalling. It's
Yeah.
just it's terrifying. We are so lucky here. We're,
Mhm.
well, so far so good.
So far, so good. And then it is affect one place, it
Yeah,
affects whole human being.
of course it does.
It's not only to Trump or only to the Liban, and we are okay with it because it can come to our world very easily. So we should take it seriously. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Yes. Well, we directly dive into this, this mundane world with eclipse, and we are kind of have a lot of a think. We totally forget. So, how are you? You look very busy.
I am really busy, and that's partly your fault, right? You're going to take the blame for this, right?
Sorry, but not sorry.
Okay. Because of course, we know I have an inability to say no. And
Yeah.
of course, you came and said about doing the mundane thing, and that's very exciting actually, because it gives me an opportunity to go back on that work I was doing for South
Mm,
America, because
mm,
so many of those countries have their constitutional charts go back to the
yeah.
early bit of the 19th century, right?
Yeah.
So many of them have the Uranus-Neptune conjunction, right? Or they've got something around, they've got Pluto at 0
Yeah.
A's. So they're going to be affected by these very big transits. Now,
Mm,
they have the lungs of the world there. They got the
yes.
Amazon, they got the lungs, right?
Yes.
So I really wanted to pour a lot of energy into looking at those charts from this global perspective. So I'm
Hmm.
very grateful to you for that. On the
Thank
other
you.
hand, I'm now under pressure to deal with that as well as everything else that's going on. Um, and tomorrow I'm flying off to Slovenia. Who knew? You know, when you think this time last year,
Mm,
when Michael was so poorly, I couldn't
yeah.
even go to Sainsbury's, like
Yeah.
now. And now I'm just, my client is calling me the Globetrotter, which is just slight exaggeration, but it's not that far. It's not that far off it. So Slovenia for Ray Merriman
Hmm.
tomorrow, and I'm going to talk there about sunspots, your field, right? I'm
Yeah.
treading on your toes, but without using your lovely photos. Um,
You can always use it.
and the Hang Seng, uh,
Yeah.
yes, and the eclipse, of course. You know how eclipses affect the
Yeah.
market. So I'll be looking at all of that.
Very excited. And then after that, you have a huge trip coming up. You are
I have a
war around the world tour.
well. Do you know? Just you're joking about this, but my lovely colleague David Beasley, who's now living in China,
Yeah.
sent me a text the other day. Apparently, China has relaxed its visa rules, and until
Yeah.
June of next year, you don't need to have the visa to go. So he said you should come to China, right? And anyway, I was joking about this with my colleague in the States who said, well, why don't you just buy a round the world ticket and just do?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe my Sag Moon would like that, right? I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. That's very excited.
Yeah. But there's a few things that have happened. The AA conference was a credit to you all. It was absolutely magnificent. It
Oh, thank you.
it was truly that was who would want to pick holes in that? That was really, really excellent. Lovely to see everybody after so long. That was stunning. Yeah, that was just brilliant. And the announcement about Stellar, of course, the
Yes. Yes.
magazine, that's very exciting because, of course, we're losing Mountain Astrologer. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, so it's very good to know that Stellar is coming into being.
Yeah.
Um, and and I'm very much looking at we're trying to revive the astrology news service.
Oh yes, I remember you talked that with me. So I was thinking about we have to talk about this when we finish
Yeah, we
today's
do. Yeah,
interview.
I
Yeah,
actually
because
really wrote because we're
yeah,
yeah, yes. I actually yeah, okay, fine. Since you're picking
yeah,
on me, I'll pick on you. Right.
yeah,
Um, so that's going very well. The Alexandria I base is going very well.
yeah.
The Urania Trust, I'm hopeful that we will have enough money to help support the research conference in January.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's full on at the moment, Ron.
Definitely. I'm also quite busy. I want to finish my book published by end of this month. And then, yes, you mentioned about our Mountain Astrology Conference because I dedicated this year AOA UK's conference to the Mountain Astrology, and it's so exciting. Our dear colleague Wade Cave usually have twice
Yeah,
two conference a year, and then I was just like, oh, okay, maybe I should have a one, but focus on the basic technique and the skill. I by no means I want to compete with him. We all support each other. This is how astrologers love each other. We support each other.
yeah,
Even there's a little bit of competition there, but you know what? For the sake of astrology, we all help each other.
yeah,
That is the
yeah.
lovely community spirit. At the AA conference, I have to say thanks for everyone there, and from the organizer, from Wendy, Roy, and the Stella. This is a great work of our dear colleague Victor
Mhm.
Oliver. His idea and bring the free online magazine. So it will be part of an AA journal, but it's online and it's free. If you don't know about that, please go to check the AA website. That would be so interesting. But if you have time and the space and a little bit of money, please from the 1st November to the 3rd November is a Academy of Astrology UK Mountain Astrology Conference, and I invite yes Christeen Skinner, Wade Caves, and Sharon Nye, Tanya Daniel, and then Kenan Yassin. They all now Hakan is also coming to join. Hakan is
But
going to give a workshop of the astrological tool for the election result.
oh wow, okay, okay. I'm thrilled that you've got Tanya because she was a delight to listen to, an absolute delight.
Yeah,
Yeah, terrific, absolutely terrific stuff. So
yeah,
no,
definitely.
it was quite an amazing conference. Usual technical hassles.
Yeah.
Why? But but we got over all of that, and yeah,
Yes.
tremendous, tremendous. So thank
Lovely.
you. It was really good.
Thank you too. Thank you. That's a wonderful conference experience, and we are going to plan next year too. So you know, fingers crossed, we will have the same result. We will have the same, the smooth, and the people will still turns up because this year I didn't hear a big complaint. I hope tiny bit things always, but everyone seems so happy in the AA conference. So I really want to see everyone there next year.
Yes, I
Yeah.
hope. Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you, Christine, and thank you for your wise word and share your idea about the inauguration chart and also this eclipse. I'm looking forward to see you next month. Have a smooth journey to the
Next time
Slovenia.
I will be talking to you from Toronto.
Another Toronto. Ooh. Okay. Have a nice journey.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.